Welcome to another episode of Discovering Your Mission with Dr. Mordecai. Today we have an incredible leader in the world of higher education, Dr. Irvin Clark, president of Southern Crescent Technical College in Georgia. With a career dedicated to workforce development, economic growth, and student success, Dr. Clark is shaping the future of technical education, ensuring that students are prepared for high-demand careers while strengthening industries across the state. In this episode, we discuss the power of community partnerships, the role of technical education in economic development, and the leadership mindset needed to drive meaningful change. If you're an aspiring leader, an educator, or someone passionate about the future of education, this conversation is packed with valuable insights and wisdom. Let's dive in. Greetings, everyone. It's Dr. Mordecai. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Discovering Your Mission with Dr. Mordecai. On today, I'm super excited that we have this good brother, a president out of the Georgia system, doing some amazing work, Dr. Irvin Clark III. How you doing, good sir?
I'm doing fine, Dr. Brownlee. Good to be here with you today. Thank you for having me.
Well, let me tell you, man, I admire the work that you're doing. We've known each other for a little bit of time, and we've been observing the work that one another have been doing. And I will tell you, I remember we had an interaction. It may have been last year, but I just knew that I needed to get you on the show. And thank you so much for making time. Listen, we're going to jump right into it. Can you tell us about your institution? Tell us about the good work that you're doing out there in Georgia and what really called you to serve that particular institution.
Yeah, first of all, again, thank you so much for having me be a part of this podcast and just so appreciate it. But I work at Southern Crescent Technical College, which is one of 22 technical colleges here in the state of Georgia. We're under the technical college system of Georgia, and our focus is really on workforce development. We have a three-tiered mission, which is technical education, economic development, and adult education. And through that mission, we serve and support 159 counties amongst the 22 technical colleges to make sure that our business and industry partners, our citizens, have access to the highest level of workforce development training that we offer. And we do a great job of that. Over 100,000 students are served each year through the technical college system, and Southern Crescent specifically, we serve about 15,000 students each year on the credit side. Adult education, we're serving about close to 1,600 students, and in economic development, about 1,000 students we serve. So doing a lot of great things at Southern Crescent. We have an 8-county service area that we serve, from our largest county, which is Henry County, to our smallest county, which is rural in Jasper County. So I have a very diverse footprint of counties that I serve, from urban to suburban to rural. We have a diverse student population, over 300 faculty and staff, and just enthusiastic students, from incumbent workers who work with industry, who are coming back to get reskilled, to new students who are coming out of high school, and even our dual enrollment population, which is over 2,000 students that we serve each semester in dual enrollment with the high schools that we serve. So we have a really big footprint of doing a lot of great things to support our industry partners. But I'll tell you what really got me into wanting to be a part of all of this, and even becoming a president, was just my passion for helping people and serving and supporting these communities. I've been working in the technical college system for about 12 years now. And prior to coming into this position as president, I served as the vice president for economic development at Georgia Piedmont Technical College. And I did that for several years. Really working on the ground, working with a lot of industry partners. And then when this opportunity came up, I was really blessed to be able to be selected from our commissioner to serve as the president of this fine institution.
Outstanding. And I know that you have been doing an outstanding job since taking the helm. Let's begin to unpack this portfolio and some of the lessons learned, but as well as what you have to master to be able to do the kind of work that you're doing. Workforce development is a conversation that is really heated up across the country. Conversations about demographic shifts are now picking up in different spaces, and folks are talking about how can they focus more on career technical education, except you all have been doing this work. You continue to do this work, and you're leading in this work. And so it takes me to my next question I have for you. What strategies, what wisdom can you share For those that are looking to learn how to foster community engagement and partnerships, it's something that is certainly required of someone in your role, driving workforce development, driving workforce engagements. But you've had to learn how to master and build these relationships. Can you let us into how you do this?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good question. I would say I think the biggest thing that any leader has to do, or anybody who's in this profession, really is engage with these partners that are key stakeholders. And I'll give you an example. Mainly, a lot of counties or states have what they call development authorities or chambers of commerce. And those development authorities, for example, are those partners that really work to bring industry to a community or even keep industry or retain those industries or help those industries expand. Those partners are important because you're able to get an insight into kind of where are the trends going in terms of the types of industries that are in your community that want to come and bring jobs to those communities and grow. So that's really important. The Chamber of Commerce also has a lot of existing industries, we call it, that are looking to engage with the college for workforce development. Also, our K to 12 partners, as you know, we can't forget about them because they're so critical to what we do. And they also have a touch point with a lot of those industry partners and those development authorities. So working with stakeholders within those circles have been critically important. They can serve on advisory boards. They can connect us to industry. They can connect us to philanthropic opportunities that may exist. And also, too, one of the important things is that we also find ways to be innovative because everybody is looking for a way to be able to scale up their workforce, find a more efficient way, connect the dots in whichever way needs to be connected. And so I give those three examples of partners that we work with to be able to help support that. And then also, too, if I can just mention, working with our elected officials. They are also critically important because they also have a lens into what is going on, and they can help facilitate a lot of those pathways to meeting some of those key stakeholders that I talked about. That helps for me, for our college, be able to understand where are things moving at, where do we need to be responsive and not reactive as an institution to ensure that we are meeting the workforce needs of our community and those communities that we serve.
There's some new presidents watching this. There's some soon to be presidents that are watching this. There's some hopeful presidents that are watching this right now. And I know that they're going to take some wisdom and probably play back what you just said. Let me take it a step further. I'm sure that you're not running to every opportunity that comes your way. As an institution, you all aren't trying to gravitate to just everything that's coming your way. There's a decision mechanism that goes into the kind of partnerships that you all are crafting and creating. And it helps you to understand, okay, this workforce partner provides this. This makes sense to align them and have a partnership with them through our institution. As you think about your most significant successes in working with your partners out in the community, what are some of those things that you're looking for, that they have, that they need to have present for you to say, you know what, this is a good fit for our students and for our institution?
Well, I think, Dr. Brownlee, to really answer that, one of the things I do want to step back and say is that the most important thing for us at Southern Crescent is that we listen to what our industry partners are asking us to do. And that is the first and foremost because I'm not the expert, our faculty aren't the expert, it's our industry partners, and we are here to serve and support them. And so from listening to them, we can understand what specifically they need. Now, the great thing about my college is that we're part of a system of 22 colleges that are all SACS accredited. And because of that, if we don't have those resources, we can lean on another college within our system to be able to seek those resources. Also, because we're under the state of Georgia, we work with our partners at the Department of Economic Development. We work with other departments within the state to be able to help leverage resources statewide and also locally to be able to meet those needs. But the big thing is really listening to those industry partners and trying to find a way to ensure that we can keep them successful. Because for one piece of advice I do want to give is that at least from a Georgia standpoint, and I think this probably applies to a lot of other colleges that are served in the communities that are listening to this, is that we want our industry partners to think about Georgia as being the number one place for them to get the services and support they need. We don't want them to be thinking, wow, why am I here? I can't get the college to respond. I can't get somebody to help me. I want to make sure that they can connect me with the K to 12. They can connect me with the Development Authority. They can connect me with other resources, WIOA. So doing that requires us to be, nimble, find innovative ways, be responsive. And so it's really just listening to what they need and trying to find the resources or support they need to make sure that they are successful. And we take pride in doing that because every company that chooses to be in Georgia or wants to come to Georgia or expand in Georgia, I am here to make sure that they get those resources they need because I want them to thrive in this state because what we do is going to support economic development for them.
I love it. I love it. As you think about some of your greatest successes, I mean, the kind of stuff that puts a smile on your face,
Yeah.
kind of bring us into some of those successes, those private public partnerships, maybe institutional partnerships. As you think about your successes collectively as a team, as an institution under your tenure, what comes to mind and what made those opportunities special?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would probably have to say apprenticeships have been the big success we've had. Last year, we led the state in the number of apprenticeships amongst the 22 technical colleges. And as you know, apprenticeships are earn and learn. It gives an opportunity for employers to bring in somebody who can go to school and also learn on the job. And we've had a lot of success with that because the state of Georgia has been laser focused on supporting apprenticeships. And because of that, they have provided resources to the colleges to be able to help facilitate those. And so we've served a number of companies through apprenticeships, which, as you know, apprenticeships have a very strong success rate and retention rate for individuals who participate in them. And so from diesel technology to advanced manufacturing with mechatronics to even nursing and CNA in the allied health fields or information technology, we've just had a lot of success with that. And these are companies that we've engaged that before that, we had not had a lot of interaction with them, but the apprenticeships have brought a solution to their workforce challenges. And actually this academic year, we're actually expanding the program for graduating seniors to be able to go into apprenticeships. When they graduate, they'll take classes in their final semester of their senior year at the college, and then they will be invited into a registered DOL apprenticeship when they walk across the stage. There'll be a DOL apprenticeship with a company, and we're focusing on mechatronics, CNC, and welding. So we're just really excited about those opportunities. But I would say apprenticeships has probably been our number one area that I'm just super excited about.
Love it, love it, love it. I'm going to turn the page here for a moment and want to learn a bit more about Dr. Clark, the man. And just curious to know, did you always know you were going to be a president? I believe that you've also attended historical Black college, university. I believe that your spouse has as well. Just kind of let us into who you are as a person. And I mean, how did you declare this to be a journey?
Wow, that's man. Honestly, when I went to Cheney University as an undergrad, and I remember when I stepped foot on that campus in 1994, fall, August, and I was just so amazed and enamored by everything that was happening around me. The campus itself, the students, being in a college setting. And I knew I always wanted to be on a college campus when I stepped on foot on Cheney's campus, and I just loved it. I fell in love with it and everything about it. But I never thought that I would become a president. It really didn't sit in my mind in that way. It really wasn't until I got my first job in higher ed, which was at Delaware State University in Dover, Delaware, back in 2000. And I had actually been inspired by a gentleman who worked at Lincoln University in Pennsylvania. He was a residence hall director. I'm sorry, a director of housing. And I had a relationship with him because I was at Cheney and he was at Lincoln, and I just knew him from being a student. And so I followed his career, and he went to Delaware State to work, and I called him one day and said, listen, can I come volunteer for you? Because I was just like, I want to be on a college campus. And he said, yes, came up, volunteered. I wound up getting hired. And I just fell in love with it ever since then. And it just kind of went from Delaware to Maryland, and then I spent time in Maryland about 10 plus years, working at three community colleges: Community College of Baltimore County, Frederick Community College, and College of Southern Maryland. And I just kept moving up in the different career fields within those institutions. And I also enrolled in Morgan State as a student there, and got a fellowship at Morgan, which I was blessed to be able to get. So I got my tuition paid for, but I learned a lot in that program, and got to meet people like Marilyn Amy, who was at Michigan State at the time, John Roosh, the Byron McClinney, all of these scholars that I got to meet and read about. And I would be reading about these scholars, and then I would go to AACC and see them in person, and to me, they were like rock stars. I'm like, man, Cohen and Brower, I met them at my first AACC in Dallas, and
Wow.
I was just amazed about all of that. And I remember I went to a community college, CCRC, I think it was, Community College Research. I may be getting the acronym wrong, but I went to one of their conferences, and Michigan State and University of Texas Austin were there. And I remember Marilyn Amy was there, and I had to talk about my research. And I was so nervous, and she said, I wasn't Dr. Clark yet, I was still a student, but she said, you did so well, and you held your own. And I was still amazed, because I said, I just read about you like 6 months ago, the work you were doing. But that program really prepared me for what I'm doing now, because it was a theoretical as well as practical experiences, heavy on the research and the writing, but also giving us those experiences with those scholars that I mentioned in person, and the rigor of the program, and just really enjoyed it. And then, taking my career to where I am now, which is being here in Georgia and doing doing the things I'm doing out here now. So
Got to ask you this, because I believe that you have your family man. I believe you have children.
yeah,
You got a spouse. You've got all these different responsibilities. You're in the process of leading an institution. I've got to ask, for those that are just interested in knowing, how are you balancing it all? How are you taking care of yourself?
yeah.
What advice do you have, good brother, for those that are looking at this and saying, "Man, I really want to serve at these levels, but I got all these other family responsibilities." How have you made this work for yourself?
Yeah, great question. My wife, I've been married for 14 years. Love my wife at the highest level. She is my best friend and everything else. My wife is a physician, she's an anesthesiologist, and she has a very high stressful job. And so she's always on the go. We have two beautiful children, Madison and Theodore. And with my job as well, but we've made a decision with each other, and we stick by it, which is work-life balance. We know when to cut things off, and to say, it's, family time. And that means spending time with the kids to do homework. That means taking self-care for ourselves, and also for our marriage as well, too. I will tell you that fitness is important to me. I work out 6 times a week, and that means going to the gym in the morning time, and eating right. In this job, and I know you know this too well, Dr. Brownlee, you can go to a lot of events and eat a lot of food, and you are in that situation where you're eating and you are on the go, and you sometimes lose track of where your health goals are. And so you have to remind yourself that, what, I'm just going to have the salad and a half a piece of this food. I'm not going to have all of the food, and I'm not going to drink the soda. I'll drink the water. But just taking time to just do those things. And then from a mental health standpoint, just knowing when that it's just time to just turn off the phone or not get on the computer. I try not to send emails after 9 o'clock at night, no matter what I do. And I try to stay away from text messaging, because that's even worse if you get caught up into it. So it's just a balancing act, and just trying to prioritize, because if I'm not healthy for my family, then, which is the most important thing, then I cannot serve anything else beyond that if I'm not healthy. So I
Absolutely.
just try to maintain that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. I want
Yeah.
to try to sneak two more questions in here really quickly. What advice do you have for those that are preparing for the presidency? What advice do you have for those?
I would probably say, I think it's two things. I think the first piece of advice I would say is that you have to be ready for the unexpected and
Mm,
accept that. And I say that because a lot of people, and I was guilty of this as well. You go into it thinking that it's one thing and you're not prepared. I wasn't prepared in the beginning for all the unexpected that came about. You have to be prepared for that and know that some things you just can't control. And you have to, being the president does not mean that you have all of the answers. It doesn't mean that that you are that you're not going to make mistakes, that things are not going to come your way that you may have to deal with that you just didn't expect. So I would say that's the first thing. I think the second thing is that I think in preparing for the presidency, you have to have a willingness at least to move or not live in the area where you may think that you want that presidency. I'm from
mm,
Pennsylvania, but I live in Georgia and I love living in Georgia. But I've moved from Delaware to Maryland to Georgia. And I went where my career was allowing me to go to be able to take on those opportunities. And I think there has to be a willingness to be able to do that. Some people may feel like that if they stay somewhere, they're they're going to be fine, and that does happen. But more than often, you will likely have to move to a different location and take on a job in a different area. And I had to prepare myself for that early on because I was in Maryland for 10, 12 years amongst three colleges. But I realized that if I was going to grow, I needed to move out of the state. And I did to Georgia. And I was fortunate to be able to get a job out here. So I would say those two things. And I know I probably said more than two, but just expect the unexpected because it does happen quite often.
that's a lot of wisdom there, Mr. President. I appreciate it. Last question, my friend. As you know, the name of the show is called Discovering Your Mission, which I love to ask all of my guests what their personal mission statement may be. But this is also a time for you to authentically share essentially what centers you, what guides you. And so I want to create the space for that at this time. Please share and share why.
Yeah, my mission, and I'm going to talk on a deep level. My mission is really through Christ. I'm a spiritually
Mm,
driven person, and God has led me to this wonderful opportunity, and my steps are ordered through Him, and so I keep that at the forefront of everything I do each and every single day. My ethics, my integrity, my role as a husband, my role as a father and a dad to my kids, and my role as a president. Each and every day it's ordered through Christ. And so my mission is really to serve and support all people around me. And I take
mm,
a lot of pride and enthusiasm in doing that because I know that God has put me here to be able to do that. And I do that with the highest level of honor and respect that has been given to me. This is a privilege to be in this job. But with that privilege comes a lot of responsibility and maintaining those things I've talked about with ethics, integrity, being a strong husband and being a father and a dad and being a president that's, working with people and making sure that the work of the college is being done at the highest level is something that's just so important to me. And so that's really my personal mission. And I'm excited about it because when you live it, it, it's just normal. You just do it, and you do it with like, okay, hey, I'm on it. I'm doing it. I'm doing it every single day. But I got a great wife who helps support me because she keeps me focused. I got my kids who keep me focused, and I got a great team around me too, and keeps me focused and keeps me grounded in what I'm doing. And I'm just amazed that to be able to touch and share and impact these lives. We see people who are moving in such great ways when they earn these credentials from our colleges, Dr. Brownlee, and they're able to go into the workforce, or you see a company who's able to upskill people. It's just amazing. And so when I shake their hands at graduation and I'm handing them their degree, I'm like, okay, wow, I was a part of this village, with our faculty, with our behind the scenes people in our business department, with our IT people, with our institutional effectiveness team, with our IA team who's raising money. All these people are just playing this big role, and I have this blessing to be a part of it. I'm just thankful that my steps were ordered to do this. And I'm just also thankful that my parents helped to also prepare me to be able to do this wonderful work, because they were also key with this, with making sure that I understood the power of education. So,
Dr. Clark, let me tell you, that's a great way to end the show. Thank you so much for your time and your wisdom shared. Listen, stay on the call. I'm going to end the show at this time. But again, thank you so much for your time and your wisdom shared, bro.
Thank you so much, Dr. Brownlee.
What a powerful conversation with Dr. Clark. Before we wrap up, let's reflect on 3 key takeaways from today's episode. Number 1, effective workforce development starts with listening. Dr. Clark emphasized that colleges must be responsive, not reactive, to the needs of industry partners. His approach? Actively engaging with businesses, chambers of commerce, and economic development leaders to ensure students are gaining skills that align with real-world job demands. Number 2, strong partnerships drive institutional success. From apprenticeships to dual enrollment programs, Dr. Clark and his team have built partnerships that bridge the gap between education and employment. His advice to leaders? Collaborate strategically, whether with K-12 schools, employers, or government agencies. Partnerships create opportunities for students and communities alike. Last but not least, number 3, leadership is grounded in service and faith. Dr. Clark shared that his mission is guided by his faith, reminding us that leadership isn't just about titles or authority, it's about serving others with integrity, balance, and purpose. He also highlighted the importance of family, health, and self-care as essential components of long-term success. Dr. Clark, thank you for sharing your journey, your leadership philosophy, and the impact of your work on students, businesses, and communities. Your wisdom will undoubtedly inspire many. And to all of you watching and listening, if you found value in today's conversation, be sure to subscribe, share this episode, and stay connected for more insights on leadership, education, and personal growth. For more exclusive content and leadership discussions, head over to itsdrmordecai.com. Until next time, keep discovering your mission, keep striving for excellence, and keep making a difference.